Gandalf was remembered for his wisdom, his fire, his stand on the bridge of Khazad-dûm. But some of his greatest power lay not in what he said, but what he chose not to say. He held back prophecies. He left questions unanswered. He gave hints instead of commands. And through that silence, he shaped the fate of Middle-earth. So why did Gandalf keep so many secrets? Was it fear, strategy, or something else? In this journey, we'll explore the weight of Gandalf's unspoken prophecies, his strategic secrecy and the risks it carried, the burden of divine knowledge, the truths he only unveiled in crisis, and the legacy his silence left behind. Because in Tolkien's world, silence is never empty. It's a choice, one that carries as much weight as words. Gandalf's wisdom was never about delivering thunderous proclamations. It was about friendship, and nowhere is that clearer than in his quiet bond with Bilbo and Frodo. When he first pushed Bilbo out the door in The Hobbit, he didn't announce, "This hobbit will find the ring that will decide the fate of Middle-earth." Instead, he nudged Bilbo with a twinkle in his eye, trusting that a hobbit's hidden courage was worth more than any prophecy. Later, Gandalf reflected on Bilbo. There is a siege of courage hidden, often deeply, it is true, in the heart of the fattest and most timid hobbit, and it will grow. That wasn't just encouragement, it was an unspoken prophecy. Gandalf knew Bilbo would rise to the occasion, but he let him choose the road, rather than weigh him down with destiny. With Frodo, the pattern is the same. Gandalf never told him outright that the ring would wound him beyond healing. He never promised him survival. Instead, he gave him just enough to take the next step. All we have to do is decide what to do with the time that is given us. Friendship for Gandalf meant trust. He trusted that Bilbo's small kindness to Gollum would matter more than foresight. He trusted that Frodo's endurance, sharpened not by command but by companionship, would carry the quest further than prophecy ever could. This is why his words to hobbits often sound half playful, half cryptic, because underneath the riddles and warnings was affection, and the belief that love, more than law, draws out true courage. So when Gandalf chose silence, it wasn't distance. It was a friend's way of saying, "I believe you can rise to this, without me dictating your path." But Gandalf's secrecy wasn't without risk. Take Denethor. The Steward of Gondor demanded clarity, and Gandalf gave him little. He never told Denethor the full truth of his mission, nor did he soothe his paranoia with assurances. The result? Tragedy. Denethor's despair became a fire that nearly consumed Gondor. Was Gandalf wrong to hold back? Or was it part of his role, to test the hearts of men, even at terrible cost? The same question shadows his battle with the Balrog. When Gandalf stood on the bridge of Khazad-dûm, he declared, "I am a servant of the secret fire, wielder of the flame of Arnor, you cannot pass." He revealed only what was necessary, not his full identity as a Maia, not the depths of his divine strength. His power remained veiled until his return as Gandalf the White. Even Saruman's betrayal was not shouted from the rooftops. Gandalf suspected. He saw the shift, but he allowed suspicion to ripen into revelation, even though it nearly cost the Fellowship dearly. Strategic secrecy kept Gandalf aligned with his mission, but it came with risks, and sometimes heartbreak. Why such restraint? Because Gandalf was not just a wizard, he was a Maia, sent by the Valar, under strict guidance. His role was to advise, not to dominate. Tolkien is explicit in his letters. The Astari were forbidden to rule through force, or reveal their full might. They were meant to train, advise, instruct, arouse hearts and wills. That meant Gandalf carried knowledge he could never fully share. He called the ring evil, but never dissected its metaphysical corruption in front of the hobbits. He let them sense its weight through experience, rather than crushing them with concepts. He never told Frodo that the quest would wound him beyond healing. He could not. To do so would strip Frodo of freedom. And then there were the eagles. The question that haunts casual readers. Why not fly the ring to Mordor? Gandalf never says outright, but the silence itself speaks, because the world is not meant to be sold by shortcuts. To overuse the eagles would break the balance of providence, turning grace into domination. Silence, here, is obedience, the burden of divine knowledge carried with humility. For all his silence, Gandalf wasn't aloof. His timing was personal, shaped by deep friendship. With Aragorn, Gandalf chose restraint. He knew from the beginning that Aragorn was Isildur's heir, the rightful king of Gondor. He could have declared it openly, even pressing him forward, but Gandalf waited. He let Aragorn walk the long road of exile, of leadership in the shadows. Only when Aragorn had accepted his burden on his own terms did Gandalf encourage him to step fully into kingship. That was no accident. Gandalf understood that a crown forced is a crown corrupted. Aragorn's kingship had to be chosen, not dictated. Friendship meant giving him space to rise in freedom, not under compulsion. With Frodo, the same pattern holds. Gandalf never told him, "You will be broken by this burden." He never warned that even success would end in exile. Instead, he offered words that were both simple and immense. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. That line isn't a roadmap. It's a companion's hand on a shoulder. Gandalf gave Frodo perspective, not prophecy, comfort, not compulsion. And when Gandalf returned as Gandalf the White, he didn't proclaim his power with grandeur. Instead, he framed it in humility. Indeed, I am Saruman. One might also say Saruman as he should have been. Gandalf revealed himself only at the point when others needed it most. His restraint wasn't weakness, it was love. A friend's wisdom in knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. So what did Gandalf's silence leave behind? It shaped Frodo into a hero who chose freely, even when it cost him peace. It allowed Aragorn to step into kingship without being pushed. It gave Sam the chance to prove that love and loyalty, not strength, are the greatest powers in Middle-earth. In the end, Gandalf's silence preserves one of Tolkien's deepest themes, that the world is not saved by control, but by freedom. As Tolkien wrote in letter 246, the domination of free will is the chief evil. That is why Gandalf kept so much unspoken, because to tell all, to command too strongly, would be to become what he fought against. And so his mystery remains. His greatness lies not just in fire and wisdom, but in the silence that shaped Middle-earth. Thank you for joining the Greyhaven's Hour. Gandalf's greatest words may well be the ones he never spoke. His silence was not absence, it was space. Space for others to rise. If you found something meaningful here, subscribe, like and share this with a fellow traveller. And tell us in the comments, what do you think Gandalf's silence meant? Until next time, may you find wisdom not only in what is spoken, but in what is left unsaid.